versus Ray Anthony Sierra. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hand? I see Mr. Sierra. Where's Mr. Cordero?
Right here, Judge.
There you are. All right, very good. Gentlemen, each of you solemnly swear or affirm that in this proceeding, your individual proceedings, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Mr. Cordero.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Put your hand down. Mr. Sierra.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, put your hand down. Gentlemen, before we proceed, we have our court reporter, Ms. Jalen Rivera, is making an official record of this proceeding, including the fact that I'm going to discuss with you certain rights and protections that you have. The first right and protection is the right to remain silent. That means you do not have to make any statement. You don't have to answer questions or submit papers that have your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. You understand you have that right, Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cordero.
Yes, Your Honor.
Each of you individually has the right to a jury trial. That means that you and your attorneys and the state could select 6 people from a pool of disinterested citizens to hear all of the evidence in this case, the testimony, etc., and decide whether you are not guilty or whether you, in fact, have been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. It's called the right to a jury trial. You understand you have the right, Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Mr. Sierra.
Yes, Your Honor.
Each of you has the right to confront witnesses. Those are big words. What it means is that if you decided to go to trial, the state would have to put up witnesses to prove their case or to try to prove their case. Those witnesses, you would have the right, you and your attorney, to question, cross-examine, or challenge. That's called the right of confrontation of witnesses. You understand you have that right, Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cordero.
Yes, Your Honor.
You also have a right, it's called the right of appeal. That right is a right wherein you and your attorney, or individually, you or your attorney, respectively, each of you could demand that a higher court review the official record and the facts and evidence in this case, in your own case, and ask them to respond to legal challenges concerning the record. That's called the right of appeal. It is technical in that you have to be careful. You have substance and material that you have to prepare. You also have time limitations that have to be addressed. But that is essentially called the right of appeal. You understand you have that right, Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Mr. Sierra.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't hear you.
Thank you. All right. Now, each of you individually in your own case and the state also have the right to demand that these proceedings be held in an open public courtroom, specifically in the County Court of Law number 5. That right, because of the COVID pandemic, has been altered, and in order to proceed, each of you with your attorneys has agreed to what's called video conference instead of open public courtroom. Did you review and sign a document that wherein you agree to the video conference of this proceeding, Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, let's talk about some of the other documents that are critically important. One of the documents is called, each of you has one, it identifies you, case number, court number, everything. And it says that it is titled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. That document specifies that you acknowledge the rights and protections that you have been informed of, that you're aware of. Among other things, it includes 14 numbered statements or paragraphs that wherein included is the fact that any deal that you make with the state is not binding on me. As the judge, I have the sole authority and the responsibility, excuse me, to decide whether I accept your deal or reject it. I have to say one or the other, yes or no. Also have the right to give you whatever punishment I choose to give you within the range of punishment for the offense involved that you're pleading to. Now, you understand that I am not bound by the deal you make, Mr. Sierra,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cordero.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, all the documents that are signed by each of you individually in your cases, did you review those documents with your attorney? And did you understand them, Mr. Sierra,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense attorneys, Ms. Ward and Mr. Campion, did you review the documents that are signed by your clients with your clients? Ms. Ward,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Campion,
Yes, Your Honor.
did your respective clients understand the documents they signed, Mr. Campion,
He did, Your Honor.
Ms. Ward?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you, individual attorneys, sign a document that acknowledges, affirms that the state has complied with Article 39.14 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure in that they have provided all the discovery that's required by law? Mr. Campion,
To the best of my knowledge, Your Honor.
Ms. Ward.
Yes, Your Honor. I did sign that.
All right. Now, dependents, there's another document that's important. It's called certification, trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal. In there, I have certified to each of you that you are participating in a plea bargain. You've made a deal. And therefore, because of that, you're giving up the right to appeal. Did you understand that, Mr. Sierra,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Are they each getting probation, state?
Judge, Mr. Sierra is deferred and is the other one deferred also? They're both deferred, Judge.
All right. Gentlemen, you have each applied for deferred adjudication probation. I know that it is that your attorneys have explained it to you, but I'm officially doing this on the record. Deferred adjudication is a written legal binding agreement between you and this court. On my side, even though you're going to enter pleas that would allow me to find you guilty and convict you, on my side of the agreement, I will not do that. At this point, I will follow the agreement that's being made between you and the state. I will not find you guilty. I will defer that. You might call it postpone. And if you live up, each of you respectively lives up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case gets dismissed and you're not convicted of that to which you're pleading. If you violate the conditions by either failing to live up to 100%, and listen to that, 100%, or if you refuse to live up to 100%, the state may ask me to give you notice, bring you in for a hearing. And if the evidence they put up to me is sufficient, I decide I may go ahead and give you a final conviction that follows you the rest of your life. In addition, you'll be looking at 100% of the range of punishment for the particular offense. Is that clear, Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did each of you know and understand what you signed when you applied for the application form, when you applied for probation? Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Then state and defense Are there motions on Mr. Cordero?
There were none from the defense, Your Honor.
I understand, but or is it going to be a DWI with .15?
I believe the state has a motion.
Right.
Yes,
so that
Your
makes-
Honor. The state moves to waive and abandon the extreme intoxication enhancement and proceed on a DWI first.
All right.
No objection from the defense.
There being no objection, the court grants that motion, and the Mr. Cordero, you're no longer charged with extreme intoxication. It has now been reduced to DWI first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank your attorney. You did a good job. Now, to that charge, Mr. Cordero, how do you plead?
A no contest.
A no contest plea, and I say this to you and to Mr. Sierra. A no contest plea in this court is considered a guilty plea and is sufficient for me to convict you. You understand that, Mr. Cordero
Yes, Your Honor.
and Mr. Sierra?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Continuing on Mr. Cordero. State, what is the agreement on that plea?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 14 months deferred adjudication, $500 fine plus court costs, 48 hours community service, Crime Stoppers fee of $50,
Say again?
a $50 Crime Stoppers fee,
Okay.
DWI education, Victim Impact Panel Live, TAP evaluation, ignition interlock for half the term. And the paperwork from the state reflects that restitution is requested, but we would confirm that that has already been taken care of.
So is there anything different?
I don't believe the state's going to be seeking restitution, Your Honor, because that was handled by the insurance companies.
All right.
That's correct.
Mr. Cordero.
Yes,
is
Your
that
Honor.
Is that the agreement as you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Campion, is that the agreement as you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. The court, before I definitively set the sentence, how do you make a living, Mr. Cordero?
Your Honor, I'm a server.
All right. And what do you earn on a regular basis?
About $3,000 a month.
Okay. You have any children you support?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I approve the agreement. First of all, I find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not. I grant you 14 months deferred adjudication. You are fined $500 plus court costs. You will perform 48 hours of community service restitution. You will make a one-time payment of $50 to Crime Stoppers. You will participate in and complete the DWI education program, the Victim Impact Panel Live. You'll submit to a TAP evaluation and the recommendations subject to my approval. You'll have ignition interlock installed in your vehicle for a continuous 7 months. During the entire 14-month period, you're not to drink any alcohol whatsoever or use any illegal drugs. You're also ordered to appear in the offices of County Court of Law number 5 to have your thumbprint affixed to the documents in this proceeding as required by law. Your supervisory fee will be $34 a month. Any questions, Mr. Cordero?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You are not to leave this meeting, this hearing, until you've met with Ms. Maricela Luna. She's called a court liaison officer. She'll explain to you how to get into the probation program. And for both of you, the probation office is going to wind up reading to you your conditions of supervision. You will sign those and they will put a copy in your hands. There'll be no way that you can, if you're brought back here for malfeasance, for you to tell me, I didn't know about that condition. Nobody explained it. It don't work that way. Mr. Sierra,
Yes, Your Honor.
we have a motion on Mr. Sierra. State,
Yes, Judge, on this one, we just moved to waive and abandon count 1 and proceed solely on count 2, obstruction of a highway.
all right. Defense, any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
There being no objection, the motion is granted. Mr. Sierra, you're no longer even involved with the DWI per se. You're now charged with obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway. To that charge, how do you plead, sir?
No contest.
A no contest plea, as I told you earlier, is considered a guilty plea and is sufficient for me to convict you. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did anyone threaten, intimidate either one of you or promise you anything in exchange other than the plea agreement for an exchange for your no contest plea? Mr. Cordero,
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sierra.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Sierra, in your case, I find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not. Instead, I will give you the punishment as agreed, but I will defer the finding of guilt. State, tell me what we're looking at as far as how long the deferred will be.
Judge, it's 14 months deferred. It is a $500 fine plus court costs. 48 community service hours. DWI education. Victim impact panel. TAP evaluation. And ignition interlock for half the term.
Mr. Sierra, is that your agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Ward, is that your agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
All right, I accept that agreement. I approve it, and it is ordered that you will be granted 14 months deferred adjudication. You will pay a $500 fine. But before I finish this, how do you make a living, Mr. Sierra?
I sell cars, Your Honor.
And what kind of money are you making on a regular basis?
Between $4,000 and $5,000 a month, Your Honor.
Do you have children you support that are minors?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I do not accept the $500 fine. Instead, I make that $750. Because I'm doing that, that puts you in a position where I have given you a punishment that's greater than what you agreed to, and therefore you can start all over again if you choose to, or you can accept my change of the punishment. I do approve the rest of it, 48 hours community service restitution. You will perform or you will complete the DWI education program, the victim impact panel. You will submit to a TAP evaluation and the recommendations subject to my approval. You will have ignition interlock installed in your vehicle, your personal vehicle, for a half the term minimum, which is 7 months. Your supervisory fee will be $43 a month. Is that acceptable, or do you want to start over again, Mr. Sierra?
How much is the interlock a month, Your Honor?
The interlock is 7 months, one half of the term.
Yeah, but how much does that cost per month?
I I'm not certain, but 100 and what,
On 120, Your Honor, 130.
that's standard, 120, 130.
I mean, that's my only issue is that he'll have all these other fees. And then now his fine's gone up.
That's correct. That's because of the income that he shows. We get a lot of people that have half his income and wind up with a $500 fine. I don't necessarily buy that. That's why I changed these. You can accept it or you can reject it, and we'll proceed.
Let
That's
me
it.
let me talk to him.
You want to go into breakout? Patricia, would you place them in breakout?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
Your Honor, as to Mr. Cordero,
As to Mr. Cordero, you can have him meet with Ms. Luna.
thank you, Your Honor. And after that, may we be excused?
Yes, sir, then you are. Don't forget to remind him to get the thumbprint on the papers.
Will he need to come into court or will that be at the probation?
He has to come into the courtroom. The court offices for those. The court clerk has those papers and he has to have his thumbprint placed on them.
Okay, within the next week, Your Honor?
He has 7 days to do it.
Thank you.
Ms. Ward,
Yes,
did you get to talk to your client?
I did.
All right, what are you gonna do?
No, I mean, he's fine with you increasing his fine. I mean, I don't like that at all since people have, never know what's gonna happen in this economy, especially with how much everything is costing and going to be costing. It's not gonna be easy for anybody, I don't imagine.
I understand that, but his income
But
is
he'll accept an increase in your fine.
his income is $4,000 to $5,000. He's paying. He was supposed to going to be paying the same thing as the young man that's got $3,000. I'm not doing that. So anyway, is that acceptable or not? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I don't expect you to like it. I understand that. And Ms. Ward is an advocate. I appreciate that you don't like it and you're saying so. All right. Mr. Sierra, don't forget that you have to meet with Ms. Luna and you have to come in and put your thumbprint within 1 week. Have your thumbprint placed on the different documents. All right?
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Don't forget to meet with Ms. Luna. Then y'all are excused, Ms. Ward, Mr. Sierra, well, with the exception of
He'll
Mr.
meet with her, but will he get an email about when? Or does he need to wait right now to meet with
He
her?
has to wait right now.
Okay,
That's fine. That's fine, Your Honor.
thank you.
Anybody else need to report?
Your Honor.
I see Les Sahanovich.
Yes,